This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Holder. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, November 22nd, yeah, we remember JFK's assassination in 1963. But is that sports related, unfortunately? Although it did force the NFL, the AFL to shut down. Actually, the NFL didn't shut down. Pete Rozelle played on because of the fact that he actually talked to some people in JFK's inner circle and said that they should play football. But Rozelle said that was a grave error. He should have listened to his heart and can't hold the NFL for that week. But as it is, November 22nd, 40 years after that, in 2003, England took home the Rugby World Cup. Now you may be thinking to yourself, is this the best you could do on November 22nd? Kind of. But this is big because, it's the ever-present thing about your country invents the game, and yet you're expected to win national championships and all that. It's like hockey. It's like Canada invented the game. Canada should be winning world championships in the Olympics. In baseball, it's got to be the Americans, of course. Basketball, you can kind of say, yeah, it's a Canadian invented the game, but it was invented in the United States. So people go gaga when the U.S. can't win a world championship or Olympics for basketball. And of course, there's no real NFL like tournament and all that, world tournament. Anyway, rugby is English and all that. Soccer too, but I mean, England won the 1966 World Cup and all that, but England had never won a Rugby World Cup. It was always basically Australia or New Zealand or even South Africa in 1995. So anyway, the 2003 Rugby World Cup was played in Australia. New Zealand was supposed to host it, but because of some signage issues, New Zealand could not do their part. So Australia hosted the championships. England, New Zealand, France, South Africa, and Australia were all raring to go, being the rugby champions and all that. A lot of people said Australia and New Zealand would face each other. Well, of course they would. After all, it's the big rivalry. So 20 teams qualified for the 2003 Rugby World Cup. If you made the quarterfinal in 1999, you would be automatically in the Rugby World Cup. Then there would be 12 qualification spots. Namibia, Canada, winning the Americas title. U.S., Uruguay, Ireland, Italy, Romania, Georgia, yes, that's a country, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, and Japan all qualified through qualifying groups. So there were a lot of matchups and all that. In Pool A, Australia and Ireland were the top two teams and got to qualify for the quarterfinals. Argentina was coming through as a team not to be messed with. A pair of wins over Romania and Namibia were huge, but Argentina just couldn't beat the Irish, or the hometown Aussies, who went El Perfecto. Group B saw France and Scotland get in at the expense of Fiji. The Americans won a match over Japan. Japan was still getting used to their rugby stuff. They wouldn't be major players for 12 years. In Pool C, England and South Africa got in. Samoa just couldn't do anything. And in Pool D, our beloved Canadians didn't do so well. They were 1-3 in a pool that saw New Zealand and Wales just crush it, especially New Zealand. Canada did beat Tonga. They should have beaten Italy, but Italy was a Six Nations powerhouse, so Canada didn't do so well and would have to keep qualifying for subsequent World Cups. They beat Tonga. In the quarterfinals, New Zealand crushed South Africa 29-9. Australia took care of Scotland 33-16. France beat Ireland 43-21, and England beat Wales by 11. always with Wales. Like England and Wales always a rivalry. The semi-finals saw Australia beat their massive rival New Zealand 22-10 in a shocker that they would be bumping each other in the semi-finals in the first place. How that happened, I don't know. In the other semi-final, England took care of France 24-7 without scoring a try or like a touchdown if you're want to talk American football things. So it's up to the final. Australia and England. Only 2 tries, aka touchdowns, were scored. Keely for Australia and Robinson for England. The rest were just basically 3-point penalty kicks or field goals, if you want to call it that. Flatley for Australia, Wilkinson for England. But Johnny Wilkinson decided to do a drop goal. If you could drop the goal over the, if you kick a ball and it goes over the crossbar and all that, that's 3 points. And so he decided to go for a drop goal in extra time, and he got it just over the bar. And England wins the World Cup 20-17. Shocking the world. I mean, honestly, England knew they were good at rugby, but were always taken out by Australia or New Zealand or even South Africa. But now they proved that the game was theirs. They've won 1 subsequent World Cup, I believe. But anyway, it's England's birthright, so we can't deny it them and that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.